I greet you with grace and peace, and I welcome you here to the inaugural memorial service for the Stanford University Anatomical Gift Program. We gather today here at the heart of our campus amid the sacred splendor of Memorial Church to remember and honor the lives and legacies of those who have selflessly given themselves for the sake of teaching and learning, for research and the advancement of medical breakthroughs. Through their lives, they have given life to others. And so today, together with their family and friends, we at Stanford, students, staff, and faculty together, we pause to acknowledge this immense gift that each of these individuals have given to us and to the world. Through music, testimonies, and reflections, we come this day to pay tribute to our donors, offering our gratitude as we remember, honor, and celebrate their lives. So come, let us be together.
Good evening. Our first speaker will be Dr. Shakti Srivastava, Professor and Division Chief of Clinical Anatomy, who will present our opening remarks.
Dear friends, let me add my words of welcome to this inaugural Anatomical Gift Program memorial service. We are gathered here today to pay tribute and to celebrate the invaluable contributions of our donors to our institution's educational mission. The generosity of our community members in electing to become donors to the Anatomical Gift Program is singularly the most important factor enriching the educational journey of our future healthcare providers. The Anatomical Gift Program establishes the foundation for all our courses in the Division of Clinical Anatomy and has existed as a core program for over 75 years. The crucial role of our donors in the process of scientific teaching and learning is perhaps apparent, but I would like to take a moment to recognize the unique relationship between donors on the one hand and students, staff, and faculty on the other that fosters much more: trust, respect, compassion, kindness, and above all, a sense of deep gratitude. All of these translate to the clinical setting in future years with patients. The development of this holistic professionalism is something that I have experienced as part of my journey in medicine of nearly 4 decades. And I am indebted to the countless donors and patients who have entrusted me with their care. Ultimately, healthcare is a human-to-human interaction like no other. While we are all aware that we have a common final destination for our life journey, the passing of a loved one always elicits grief and a sense of loss. For all those gathered today who knew a family member or loved one that was a donor to our program, I share those sentiments at a very personal level with you. Like you, I have also gone through recent losses. My father, who was rather unwell for several years, passed away 18 months ago. And my mother declined swiftly thereafter and also passed away exactly a year ago. While the loss is immense and irreplaceable, it is comforting to reflect on the meaningful life they both had. For everyone gathered here today, I pray that this evening will provide some level of comfort and perhaps even a sense of closure. Let's join hands and hearts today in recognizing and celebrating all our donors to the Anatomical Gift Program. Thank you for trusting us with your care. Thank you for your support. And thank you for nurturing such a meaningful relationship.
Dr. James Korndorfer, Professor of Surgery and Vice Chair of Education, will now share his words of appreciation.
On behalf of the Department of Surgery, I want to express my sincerest gratitude for the selfless act that you and your loved one provided when they became an anatomical gift program donor. As a practicing clinician and educator, I can assure you that that gift went much beyond simply teaching anatomy. Your loved ones really were the learner's first patients. And through that experience, the learners learned those critical traits of showing dignity, showing respect, and showing compassion for those patients. They also began to develop that professional identity that they're going to carry with them as a physician through the rest of their lives. And these are the traits that those students will carry forward when treating all of the patients that they see as they move through their clinical years. So your donations have helped all future patients of those trainees. And I and those future patients are immensely grateful to you and your loved one. Thank you.
Our third speaker is Dr. Ian Whitmore, a current professor of clinical anatomy. Tonight, he will share with us his faculty reflection.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here in many ways, but perhaps most obviously because, as you can see from my age, I have been teaching anatomy for a very long time. I've been teaching for 53 years, and the whole of that 53 years, the whole of my career has been dependent upon the generous donations in anatomical gift programs, both here and my previous workplaces. So it has been a lifestyle for me to be looking at that. I've seen wonder in students' eyes as they begin to understand how the anatomy goes together. I've seen the delight in their appreciation of the really beautiful aspects of anatomy that exist as well. And I've seen their acknowledgement of their first patient and their acknowledgement of their first brush, often with death. All of these aspects are so important in, I think, learning anatomy, and they all, as Dr. Korndorfer suggested, continue on throughout their careers. So with that, I'd like to add another point as well, and that is the people who look after our donors are really special people, not only in the faculty level or the other levels, but throughout the division of clinical anatomy. They put so much effort into making sure that our donors are not only respected, but understood and well looked after. And I find that a really satisfying, uplifting way of working with people of that variety. So I'm grateful to the fact that they look after your loved ones in the way that I think is not only appropriate, but is wonderful. And with that, I really have not much more to add because my colleagues have said much of what I think I would add. I'm grateful, personally. I'm grateful on behalf of the division. I'm grateful on behalf of Stanford. Thank you all very much.
Medicine and the Muse will now grace us with a rendition of Gabriel's oboe.
We will now turn our attention to the students who have prepared heartfelt tributes. Our first student, Noor Zanyal, will present a tribute titled, Through Their Hands.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noor Zanyal, and I'm a first-year medical student here at Stanford. Thank you all for being here today. I wanted to share with you today an excerpt of a piece I wrote after one of our anatomy labs in hopes it will convey the depth of emotion I felt embarking on this learning journey, and to share the principles on which I hold dearly that will remain steadfast in my future practice. In anatomy lab recently, we had to dissect our donor's body's hand, a daunting task that revealed how quickly medicine can be dehumanizing if we are not careful to reflect on our actions. Up until that moment, our donor's hands had been covered, Upon revelation of his hands, the guilt began compounding. How does one go about meticulously dissecting another's hands in the name of science and learning without feeling like her humanity is being lost? Our hands are our lives. We use them to work, to show love, to express every possible human emotion, and to experience every possible human experience. We use them to reach out to the world. Those hands were once held by his loved ones as he entered the world and were held once more as he passed on to the next life. What did his hands represent in his life? What job did he work? Whose hands held his for most of his life? Did he use them to pray, plant a fruitful garden, clap for the achievements of his loved ones, or cup his face in sorrows at life's struggles? If his hands could speak, they would tell the tale of a long life that our donor lived, all his joy, sorrow, success, failure, and love. It felt violent to reduce his hands to an exploratory piece for our knowledge. We are only given the right to learn because of our donor's generous contribution to science and to our learning. I hope that there was at least one physician who held our donor's hands towards the end of his life. And it wasn't just to check his pulse to confirm his passing, but a meaningful gesture to help our donor as he confronted the reality of death alongside his family. As we hold our donor's hands to learn the intricacy of the human body, we hope that one day we can hold other patients' hands to give them the encouragement to heal, to congratulate them with good news, to comfort them when they receive bad news, or to help them pass on. Our hands are how we hold on to each other, and as future physicians, we must always hold on to the hands of our patients to remember our own humanity and theirs. Our education would not be complete without the immense privilege our donors have granted us. And so I say this: to our generous donors, your contribution to our learning is the reason why we are going to become great physicians. You're the reason why we will be able to heal thousands of people for generations to come. Thank you, and may your souls rest in peace. To the families of our generous donors, I cannot begin to imagine how difficult this must be to have to wait to lay your loved ones to rest. There's not much I can say to assuage those emotions, but I would like to express the sincerest gratitude that my classmates and I feel for the learning opportunity that your graciousness has granted us. We are indebted to you. And lastly, to my classmates, the future physicians, I implore you to always reflect on this experience and to take it with you in every moment of your practice as a physician. All the people that will cross our path in medicine deserve our undivided attention and respect, whether they continue to live or pass on. Let us remember the generous sacrifice our donors have made for our learning. We owe it to them to become compassionate physicians. And let us take the opportunity to hold the hands of our patients as we guide them to the next phase of life. Thank you.
Our next performance is a heartfelt musical tribute of In My Life by Madison Palmer and Sabrina Chi.
Hi, I'm Madison, and this is Sabrina, and this is Armand. And today, we wanted to share with you a song that we think might encapsulate the way we feel, and to hold a moment with you, and to thank you. So this is that song. Places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places have their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall, some are dead and some are living. In my life, I loved them all. But of all the
these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you, and these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I'll know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I'll know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I loved you more. Oh no, I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I loved you more. In my life, I loved you more. In my life, I loved you more.
Continuing our student tributes, we have Natalie Murad Barakat and Elizabeth Osonye. They will share reflections on the experiences and lessons learned through their engagement with the Anatomical Gift Program. Please welcome Natalie Murad Barakat and Elizabeth Osonye.
Dear families, classmates, professors, and class facilitators, the contents of this speech have been scrambling in our minds for the last 16 weeks, with no sign of them coming to an ease in the near future. It is because of that chaos, not despite it, that gratitude lies at the heart of this speech. So we would like to start off by saying thank you. Thank you to the families, and thank you to the donors. In more ways than one, the donors served as the first teachers in a seemingly ever-growing line of teachers and mentors that will shape the years of our medical training. The donors have guided us through an anatomical learning experience that will forever inform the medicine we practice and the knowledge we will cultivate, and their gift did not stop there. The donors have breathed a new sense of wonder into our lives and a deeper sense of appreciation for our bodies and the life they house within them. We often hear the saying, we are human beings, not human doings, and our anatomy experience has been shaped by the fact that giving isn't limited to the course of mere life or the doing. We are not sure what their lives looked like, but we can confidently say that even in their death, they continued to touch us and teach us. Our reflections about death and dying have changed profoundly before and after Anatomy Lab, and naturally, our reflections about the alive and living follow. Lessons about the sanctity of human life are to be appreciated, and this one in specific will forever shape how we will go about honoring and preserving life. To paint you a picture of what the donor's effect on our learning journey has been, I invite you to think about a butterfly. The butterfly effect proposes that when a butterfly flaps its wings in the Pacific, it causes a tsunami in the Atlantic. And while a wing flap is entirely unrepresentative of the decision to donate, the impact of that decision does very much resemble that of a significant force of nature. Your loved one's significant decision to donate their body to medical education supersedes us. It will live on to touch the lives of all of the patients and trainees we will come to meet and care for and become. It is a legacy of knowledge that we will happily spread.
In medical school, we are constantly learning how to trust our patients' lived experience and their wisdom when it comes to their bodies functioning, especially in times of illness and in times of health. We learn to listen deeply and critically to what the patients know to be true about themselves and allow that to guide our care and management. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge that the lives the donors have lived in their bodies informed how they've come to us as teachers. The gift they so generously extended to us and what is true for their bodies will forever be the guiding force for us on this journey. You, friends and family, here with us today are a big part of the donor's lived experience. And while we gather here today seemingly as strangers, that may not be the most accurate depiction. We are uniquely grateful and connected to you through your loved ones. The gratitude and appreciation we have is for them and for you. We thank you for loving them, and we thank you for living alongside them. We thank you for being a part of their life experience, and by extension, a big part of our learning experience. As we stand before you, representatives of our class, we are in awe of the invisible ties that bring us together. Pouring into loved ones, into passions, into strangers, and into community without expecting much in return is what medicine is all about. So thank you for setting that bar high and for leading by example. We promise to remember and cherish all the lessons learned today and the last 16 weeks. And even in death, you have touched us. Thank you.
For our final student tribute, we have another wonderful performance performed by Laura Chang, Emily Yang, and Chibuike Uwakwe, who will be performing Salud de Amor.
Hello, my name is Emily. This is Laura and Chibi, and we're first-year medical students. Today we'll be playing a song called Salud d'Amour, which means love's greeting. And with this song, we want to express our gratitude to the donors and their families, and for the incredible gift that they've given to our growth as future providers. Thank you.
As we continue to honor the donors and their families, 4 relatives will share brief statements celebrating the impactful legacy left by their loved ones. Let us warmly welcome our first speaker, Cynthia Wayne.
Good evening. I'm Cynthia Wayne here for donor Paul Buneman. This sadness and loss is so profound and so huge. I appreciate Stanford organizing this to help respect and honor that sadness, and so that the relatives overseas can be part of this, even though it's the middle of the night for them, and so that I can say thank you to Paul's doctor, Dr. Alice Fan, who is so kind and who is here playing viola for us this evening. Thank you, that's so amazing. And she and Mika and their whole team were so kind and so helpful. And the right hand really did know what the left hand was doing. They were so good to us. And I have a sense of things being in circles. Paul's mother had arranged to donate to this program, but she died during COVID and the program was closed, so she was unable to donate. So I do think for Paul to be able to donate felt like closing some kind of circle for him. And Paul's father, Oscar Buneman, came to Stanford many decades ago as professor of electrical engineering, and he and his wife Ruth built their house in Los Altos Hills, which was at that time considered far from Stanford. It had been an old walnut orchard, and where I am so fortunate to be living right now, and I feel like I'm trying to keep that circle turning. And Oscar loved working at Stanford, but he did say, Stanford seems to find money to construct new buildings with, and he said that with kind of a question mark in his voice, but I remember that. And when Paul and I had to come here, we would park in that great underground parking structure and walk up all those stairs, because Bunemans always take the stairs, and there'd often be a janitor cleaning all of those stairs, and we'd thank the janitor for cleaning all of those stairs. And we had to go to 875 Blake Wilbur, the cancer center, and I was terrified every time we had to go there. But we'd go inside, and there was a grand piano and wide open space and the staircase going up and skylights at the second floor. It was so beautiful and open. It really did help us feel better. And I would think, thank you, Oscar, for helping provide the resources for this. And the same with the hospital. Paul had a beautiful, big, sunny window with a view to a private garden of flowers, birds and trees, and we could see a few of the heliport pads, and it really did help. And even this building tonight, Paul taught me that even though the shortest day of the year is December 21st, the shortest evenings are in late November. So I'm happy to be inside on the last evening of November. And Paul, such a lovely spirit in his heart, in his mind, in his form, in his good judgment, in his unique perspectives. And the best times of my life were when Paul and I would go to the mountains in Oregon and go off on some trail into the wilderness, and it would be just the two of us. We wouldn't see another person all day, and it would just be the two of us out in nature. And the thought of him not coming back is really more than I can comprehend. Being with him for 40 years is the greatest privilege of my life. And I appreciate hearing from the faculty and the others here. It helps, and I thank all of you for helping. Good night.
Next, please welcome Yasmin Pedroso.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Jasmine Pedroso. It is my great honor and privilege to be here today to speak to you all, to whom our beloved Charlene Quaresma had dedicated the gift of her body. About 18 years ago, I was in your shoes, medical students, as a second-year medical student at UCLA, attending a memorial just like this, to honor those who gifted their bodies to our learning. In training, I remember so much about anatomy lab, taking so much care and pride in the dissection of every muscle and every nerve, and committing as much as possible to memory. And now, years later, I attribute my skills as a surgeon to these experiences. But I have a very clear memory from anatomy lab, immersed in the dissection of a hand, noticing for the first time that the hand had bright pink nail polish on it. I remember suddenly wondering how vibrant and fun and feminine this woman must have been when she was alive. And it was then that I realized, as I was so focused on my own learning, that I never really thought too much about the person behind the body. So lest you forget the life of the body in front of you, let me tell you about my mother-in-law, my soulmate, Charlene, who gave her body to you all. Charlene grew up on a sugarcane plantation in Hawaii, and through a childhood rife with poverty and domestic violence, she rose to become a public health educator and community organizer, and spent her entire life uplifting the underserved. When she still had blood pumping through her veins, she ran countless marathons and triathlons. She danced hula. She ran after her grandchildren. When there was still warmth in her hands, she cooked amazing Filipino meals for us and created beautiful works of art. When her heart was still beating, she gave us so much love and light to those all around her. And when her heart stopped beating, she left you all with the gift of her body that lived an incredibly beautiful life. So take what you have learned from her body as you go forth in your careers, and remember your duty to honor and remember those who gave this gift to you.
Next, please welcome Carmelita Theodore.
Good evening. My name is Lita Theodore. My husband of 39 years was Malvern John Theodore, who was the donor. Mal was a faithful man of God who shared his love of the Lord with whomever that he met. His easygoing, fun-loving personality was infectious. He was a brilliant pianist, drummer, a composer, with an encyclopedic knowledge of jazz. He was an avid, lifelong learner who could extemporate about many subjects with a level of depth and understanding that left us all in awe. He could have been a rocket scientist, a computer programmer, a mathematician, a cosmetologist. His nickname was the Professor, for a very good reason. Beyond his brilliance, his dedication to work and family was his beautiful heart and his beautiful smile. He loved us all. We loved him as well, and we miss him dearly. When Mal was originally diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer 10 plus years ago, we left Stanford Cancer Center with very little options or protocols for him, and the outcome sounded very slim. Fast forward 3 years into his journey, there were a variety of options for him, and these options continued throughout his 10-year-plus journey. Thanks to the research program at Stanford, gave him a quality of life for many years. True to Mal's character, in the spirit of generosity, he donated his body to Stanford Medical Center for research in hopes to help to find a cure for prostate cancer. We are so grateful to you and wanted to participate in future research that would help others as it helped us. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate it and honor the program from our family to Stanford donors. Thank you.
Our final reflection is by Ma Kemon Ai, who is present in the audience today. Their touching tribute will be read on their behalf. My mom, Da Kin Yi, came from Burma to the United States of America in 2011. She was a very generous person. She donated money to several charities and to people who needed it most in Burma. She took care of some of our relatives in Burma. She even decided to donate her body to help others and use it for a good cause. She was a beautiful and kind person to everyone. All of my friends love her. She will always be in our heart. Thank you, Ma.
Through these touching testimonies, we know now deep in our bones that it is true that healthcare is, at its core, a human-to-human endeavor, isn't it? This memorial service that we had today has helped us to remember and strengthen that connection. That in our great loss, we are able to find new life and a new hope through the generous and selfless gifts of our donors. They say love and grief are two sides of the same coin, that the depths of our grief are only matched by the depths of our love. And that is true. And today, that grief, that love, is transformed into hope. Hope for a future that, because of the gifts of our generous donors, looks different for other families, for students, for teachers, for researchers struggling to find that one special cure. And so as we leave today, we leave in that hope. And I offer you these words from poet and theologian Jan Richardson. It is called Blessing of Hope. So may we know this day the hope that is not just for someday, but for this day, here, now, in this moment that opens to us. Hope not made of wishes, but of substance. Hope made of sinew and muscle and bone. Hope that has breath and a beating heart. Hope that knows how to sing when there seems little cause. Hope that raises us from the dead, not someday, but this day, again and again and again. Friends, we have seen that hope. a hope that raises us again and again and again, hope made of sinew and muscle and bone. As you came in this evening, each of you may have picked up an ornament, a dove made of paper, and if you look carefully in it, they're seeds. I invite you to take it home, and if you have not taken one on your way out, please grab one. Hang it in your home. And as you look at it each day, offer it a blessing of hope. Receive that blessing of hope from the gift of the donor, from the memory and celebration today. And allow that blessing of hope to sit with you. And when you feel the time has come, I invite you to give that blessing of hope back to the earth. Because if you take that ornament and you plant it, it will blossom and bloom, for there are seeds inside. You see, there is hope. Hope not someday, but this day. So may you go forth this night in that hope, embodied by our donors and known in this community gathered here. Hope not for someday, but this day. Hope that raises us all again and again and again. May you go in peace. The service has ended.